I can still feel the blood frozen in my veins. My fingers can't find rest, convulsively gripping and releasing the pen. My heart pounds in my chest like a battle drum, and my mind is slowly sinking into madness. Only the glow of the phone screen seems like the only safe place in this nightmare that I seem to have created for myself. The scream I heard sounded like it had been ripped straight from hell. A sound like that doesn't come from living creatures. It was a sound that penetrated the soul, filling it with an ancient fear that has existed in humanity since our first ancestors sat by the fire, dreading the shadows that lurked beyond the light. Now I'm not even sure if it was real. Maybe it was an illusion brought on by fatigue and nervous tension. In this empty building, in this empty world where the walls are glass but reflect nothing, my mind seems to have played a cruel joke on me. Or, worse yet, it's no joke at all. Suddenly the light on my phone dimmed. The battery, which just a minute ago was at 20%, suddenly dropped to 0, leaving me in complete darkness. I instinctively reached for the phone's buttons, trying to bring back even the faintest glimmer of light. But it was in vain. The light was gone, and with it the last refuge from whatever was lurking in the shadows. The room was filled with silence, thick as water. The only sounds were my own heavy breathing and the faint creaking of the building, as if it were slowly tightening around me, preparing for something inevitable. "Don't move," a voice whispered somewhere deep inside me. "Don't breathe. She can hear you." I shrank into the chair, every muscle in my body tensed. Now I could feel her. She was close, somewhere on the edge of my perception, unseen but omnipresent. This fear, it was alive, wrapping around me like a spider's web, leaving no chance of escape. Something rustled softly in the darkness, like the gentle whisper of wind among leaves or the light tread of bare feet on the carpet. The steps were barely audible, almost imperceptible, but they were drawing closer. Someone was in this room. I could feel it with every fiber of my being. But I couldn't allow myself to move, couldn't reveal my presence. I knew that if I took even one step, made even one sound, I would never be able to escape. She would find me. She was waiting for it. I closed my eyes, trying to focus, trying to calm the frantic rhythm of my heart. But even with my eyes closed, I could see her. She was standing in front of me, motionless, with that strange smile that I could no longer erase from my memory. Her body was twisted, as if it had been broken and clumsily put back together. Her eyes, oh God, those eyes were too wide open. They were empty, yet somehow filled with something horrific, something beyond understanding. I opened my eyes and found myself back in the dark room, but the feeling of her presence hadn't faded. It had grown stronger, almost tangible. Cold sweat trickled down my forehead, and my lips were dry with fear. I knew I had to do something, but what? Staying here, sitting in this chair, consumed by fear and paranoia, was the same as dying. I felt that if I didn't leave now, I would never leave this place. But was there even a door? Was there an escape from this nightmare? I didn't know. All I knew was that I had to move. I had to do something to break free from this paralyzing terror. Slowly, carefully, trying not to make a sound, I began to rise from the chair. The fear was so intense that every muscle protested against the movement. She was somewhere nearby, I was sure of it. Maybe right behind me, but I couldn't turn around, couldn't look at her. First the legs, then the arms, now the body. I straightened up, remaining silent. She hadn't noticed my movement yet, but it was only a matter of time. A step. Another one. The door to my office was just a few meters away, but the path to it seemed endless. With each step, I felt the darkness around me grow denser, the air becoming thick, making it hard to breathe. I was almost at the door when I heard it. At first, it was a soft laugh, quiet, gentle, like the laughter of a little girl. But it quickly turned into something sinister, malevolent, full of mockery. I turned sharply, unable to bear the tension, and I saw her. She was standing in the corner of the room, so dark she seemed to merge with the shadows. But her eyes, they glowed, with an unnatural, dead light. There was no life in their depths, only emptiness. She was smiling. And that horrible sound, the laughter that shouldn't exist, came from her lifeless lips. My mind couldn't take it. It snapped, like an overloaded spring. I lunged for the door. Like a wild animal trying to escape a trap, the handle gave way, the door flew open, and I ran out into the corridor. But the corridor was not as I remembered it. The walls, once smooth and clean, were now covered with strange, writhing patterns that moved like they were alive. The light flickered, dim and unsettling, creating the illusion that the shadows around me were also moving, crawling along the walls, trying to consume me. I ran. I don't remember how long. Minutes, hours, maybe an eternity. I ran, not caring where, just trying to get away from what was chasing me. I burst onto the stairwell and began descending, skipping steps, almost falling. My breath was ragged, my legs cramped with pain, but I didn't stop. I was almost at the exit when I felt her presence again. She hadn't fallen behind. She was following me, through the walls, through the shadows, not letting me escape. Ahead was the door, the last barrier between me and freedom. I crashed into it with my full weight, and it burst open with a loud crack. I stumbled outside, into the cold, fresh air. The night city surrounded me. The lights of cars and street lamps seemed like safe beacons in this madness. But she was close. I knew it. She hadn't left me. Without thinking, I jumped into the nearest taxi, ignoring the driver's startled look. I screamed for him to drive to take me away from here, as far as possible. The car sped off, taking me away from that cursed building. But even as the city lights blurred into a streak, as we drove farther and farther away, I could still feel her presence. It hadn't gone away. It was inside me. That smile, those eyes, that terrifying laughter, they stayed with me. I don't know what happened that night. Was it reality or a nightmare? Or maybe it was some kind of mind game, overloaded with fatigue and stress? But one thing I know for sure. I will never return to that building. Never. I made my choice. And now I'm forced to live with its consequences. It's been a few weeks since I left that office, but the nightmares haven't left me. Every night I wake up in a cold sweat, feeling her presence in my room. I see her when I close my eyes, hear her whisper when I'm alone. She's no longer in the building. She's in my mind, in my heart, and she won't go away. Every evening when I return home, I feel the darkness around me grow thicker, the air filling with something heavy and sinister. I'm no longer sure if I can escape this. Or maybe it's not her. Maybe it's me. Maybe it was all inside me from the very beginning. Maybe I just lost myself in that labyrinth of glass and shadow, and now I'm doomed to wander it forever. But whatever it may be, I'm no longer afraid. I've accepted what happened. I've accepted that this will never end. I just live, day by day, step by step, and I wait. Wait for her to come for me one last time.